Some major news as it looks like WWE is indeed taking the Royal Rumble to Saudi Arabia. This according to a brand new report courtesy of PW Insider that seems to confirm something we've been expecting for a long time, that Saudi Arabia is going to get one of the biggest events that WWE has to offer in the Royal Rumble. We're going to talk about where exactly in the country that this event may be held, what fans can expect out of this, and why this should not come as a surprise at all, considering how close WWE and the country have gotten in the last couple of years. We're also going to talk about WrestleMania 41 main event plans being quote-unquote penciled in, according to Triple H. We're going to talk about what exactly he had to say about the main events, and also what exactly those main events could be. All that and much more coming up right here in this video. I'm Omer Q for Real Take Wrestling. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. All right, let's talk about the big news about the Royal Rumble. In 2026, the Royal Rumble is indeed coming to Saudi Arabia, according to PW Insider. Mike Johnson and company came out with that report yesterday, and this was also backed up by FightfulSelect.com. Sean Ross Sapp and company saying the following. PW Insider reported this evening that the next year's Royal Rumble event was planned for Saudi Arabia. Fightful Select has learned that it is the working plan. Those that we've spoken to claim that Riyadh is slated to be the host. The venue is to be determined, and this is a culmination of a lot of different things over the last near decade at this point. We're in 2025. They originally had this deal signed in 2018 with Saudi Arabia to bring a couple of PLEs a year to the country, and it began, ironically enough, back in 2018 with the greatest Royal Rumble, which of course involved a 50-man Royal Rumble match. And ever since then, it does seem like this partnership between WWE and Saudi Arabia has only grown. And it was just, I believe, last year that, there were rumblings that Saudi Arabia was trying to find a way to host one of WWE's big live events. They were all in on the idea of potentially hosting a WrestleMania, which I think will happen before we get to WrestleMania 50. Saudi Arabia will host WrestleMania at some point. It will happen. Be prepared for it. It will. It's a thing. This all is part of, for those of you who don't know, a deal that they have had with Saudi Arabia. Again, as I mentioned, they do a couple of premium live events, and this is part of Saudi Arabia, the country's, mission to, on one end, try to broaden their reach, broaden their revenue streams, and bring tourism to the country. That's what a large part of this is. It is to make the country look like it is a hotbed of action tourism. That's why you have Turki Al-Sheikh, who is the chairman of the General Entertainment Authority in Saudi Arabia. He's the person who's out there doing interviews about, these big boxing events that they're doing, these big UFC events that they're hosting and whatnot. And he's been a huge part of the sports outreach that they have done. And it's why you see Saudi Arabia, investing in all of these different soccer leagues throughout the world, investing in MMA, investing in golf throughout the world. It's because they are trying to broaden their reach. They are trying to make it feel like Saudi Arabia is the place to be when it comes to these big events. And they want to be a hotbed of tourist action. And WWE has been a great partner for them. They were one of the first partners when this project for the Saudi Vision 2030 started. And their action has only grown in this. They have WWE World that is like a permanent institution in, I believe, Riyadh. And that is like that whole thing of everyone's asking when is WWE gonna have their own Hall of Fame or their own Hall of Memories or whatever. It exists. It's just in Saudi Arabia. And that is obviously one end of this. The other end of it is obviously the sports washing that many fans, including myself, have criticized. And I want to make clear this is very personal to me, which is why I take the stand that I take on this. The current Saudi regime has been responsible for a whole bunch of bad things. Is going to be my very light way of putting it. But I mean, the atrocities of like this specific regime and what they're trying to do with the sports washing that is occurring with these events in particular, it disgusts me on like a personal level that I, like again, I don't expect everyone to agree with me, but it is what it is. And, I'm going to have to do a little bit of thinking on how I'm going to even cover the Royal Rumble in 2026. But again, it's a 2026 problem. But it is something that fans have been critical of. It's something you've seen online. And look, regardless of what you think about, that whole part of it, even though I believe that it is a dangerous line, and there is a line there, regardless of what you think, I do want to put to bed this idea that any company, whether it's WWE, whether it's AEW, whether it's New Japan, TNA, whatever, put to bed this idea that the main focus of any company is the well-being or like looking out for what's best for the wrestlers, looking out for what's best in the fans, or just general morality and ethics. I want to stop. Please stop this shit. Please. Look, we all know at the end of the day, it's about the bottom line. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. That's just the way it is. And it doesn't make it okay, but it is what it is at the end of the day. And you can only do so much, right? So, like, you have to accept it to a certain degree. But man, oh man, the way I hear people talking about this shit online pisses me off to no end, because they're just like, WWE is such an amazing company. It is. If you have to say like X is such an amazing company, bro, like get the fuck out of here. Like, come on, don't we need to stop glazing companies in general. Please stop that practice, because like at the end of the day, it's about money. And look, WWE's taking the bag. That's what it is. They are taking the king shilling, literally taking the king shilling, and it's what they do. That's fine, but and I'm not gonna like fault people for watching the Royal Rumble or anything like that. But I'm also gonna be like, man, if you're one of these people who's out here like, oh man, WWE is like, just they're giving back, they're doing so much good, all the yada yada yada. Yeah, shut the hell, stop. They're not. No company is. Whether, again, I named them all. No companies. At the end of the day, all these companies are concerned with one thing, and that is their bottom line. Do some handle this better than others? Maybe. But at the end of the day, money is what makes them go around. Money is what makes them do these different things. So that's what it's all about at the end of the day, in my view. But it is going to be interesting to see what happens with Saudi Arabia getting the Royal Rumble. Obviously, gonna be interesting to see how they handle that. Potentially, at this point, I think it's gonna be a 2-night Rumble. So you're gonna have 2 nights of Saudi Rumble. Which, who knows? Maybe they'll make it a 50-person Rumble each night, which would be insane. But guys, I want to hear what you guys think about that as we move on to our next and final story. Let's talk about WrestleMania. Switching from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, let's talk about Triple H. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque, Triple H. The man goes by many names, but he is the chief content officer of WWE, and he had some very interesting things to say in a recent interview with Jimmy Traina of Sports Illustrated, saying the following about the WrestleMania main event picture. Quote, We had a card for WrestleMania loosely written out in October, and that's morphed a lot. We sort of sitting down on a regular basis, weekly, and talking about what do we believe the shift is? Where do we see the shift happening? And what do we need to move around? Can I say I have something penciled in? Yes. Do I think it will stay? I think, but I'm not sure. So that was Triple H essentially saying like they had something penciled in for WrestleMania. I mean, this confirms essentially the obvious that people have speculated, that people have believed, and usually it is smart of WWE to have something at least penciled in for WrestleMania months in advance. This is something that they used to do a lot. It reportedly had gotten away from it a little bit during the Vince McMahon era because everything was always changing to the degree where you couldn't even trust plans that were penciled in months in advance. And That doesn't mean that changing plans or adjusting plans as you go, given the feel of what the show is, what's hot on the show or whatever, isn't a good thing. That's a good thing. That's the reason why they weren't in a mess last year at WrestleMania when they took Cody out of the main event picture in favor of The Rock, and then they ended up making that readjustment later on. But, I think like the big question on everyone's mind is, what do they have penciled in? I am going to say this. Just given everything we're hearing, given everything that, is being reported, and also like just general like common sense, The Rock is not going to be at WrestleMania. He's doing the Moana reshoots. I've said this many, many times. At this point, he's not going to be at Mania. And if that is the case, the match is Roman versus CM Punk and Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Those are your two matches. And it is like a culmination of a few different things, because you have CM Punk trying to chase his main event of WrestleMania. He's like 46 years old. He's only got so many more years left to do this at a high level, right? On a main event level. And the match you would want to do it in is something like a Roman versus CM Punk. Those two have legitimate heat in the past, at least. They've had real legitimate heat. They have not liked each other. You can play into that. And it's there for the spectacle. It doesn't even need a world championship attached to it. On the other hand, what bigger match is there right now that is possible than John Cena versus the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship, as Cena chases his record-breaking, in air quotes, 17th World Championship. The John Cena of this era versus the Cody Rhodes of the last era, that's a big match. And we know that like there's going to be a lot of energy around that. And I think like it would behoove WWE to just do a little bit of fan service and give that match and have that be the main event. That's where I think they're headed. That's like, again, it's like the obvious thing. But to know that something is penciled in at this point and Triple H is pretty sure that it's going to stick, I think those are probably the two matches. I think there's a possibility that Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, or Bianca Belair versus, it would be Bianca versus Rhea, would be the other one. We will see if that ends up being a thing that occurs, but those are the only ones that come to my mind when I think about main event level matches for Mania. But we will see. Maybe The Rock just walks in and says, "Look, I'm not. Look, hey, F Moana. I'm doing the Mania match. Let's go. Me and the Mama Rhodes. We're gonna beat that." Like, I don't know. Like, maybe he just does that. But we'll see. Guys, let me know in the comment section though. What do you guys think will be the main event match for WrestleMania? Will it be Cody versus Cena? Will it be Punk versus Roman? Will it be something that I haven't even said? I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys want to see? Until next time, be sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and as always, thank you so much for those of you who've made it this far as I hit my mic. Sorry to audio listeners. I appreciate every single one of you who've made it this far. Please become a channel member, help support the channel, help the channel grow, help pay the bills, and all that kind of stuff. And until next time, be happy, be healthy. As always, keep it real.